My dear friends, when the world tries to hush your voice, when the winds blow too strong and shadows fall too long, I ask you to remember this one truth. You were never born to shrink. You were not made to fold yourself small enough to fit into the palms of others. You came into this world whole, wrapped in glory, stitched with strength, and crowned with the power of being. And though life may have carved rivers of doubt across your soul, still you rise, still you remain. There will be times when people call you by names that do not belong to you. They will call you weak, call you unworthy, call you too much or not enough. But do not let their voices become your mirror. Do not let their blindness become your reflection. For inside of you lives a fire older than fear and louder than shame, a fire that speaks even when your mouth cannot. That fire is your worth. You do not need permission to value yourself. You do not need applause to be proud. The applause may never come, the room may never stand, and still you walk with your spine straight and your gaze unshaken, because your worth is not up for vote. It does not shake with opinion. It does not move with gossip. It stands steady in your bones. It sings in your breath. It is etched in your laughter and found in your tears. There will be days you forget, days when the weight of the world wraps around your shoulders and presses you down low. You may wonder if you are seen, if you are needed, if you matter, but I tell you now, you do. You are more than the scars you carry, more than the silence you have swallowed, more than the love you never received. You are the story still being written. You are the light still learning to shine. You are not defined by your past mistakes, but by your power to rise above them. Every stumble you have taken, every wrong turn, every word spoken in pain or fear does not carry the weight of your entire being. Mistakes may leave a mark, but they are not the map of your identity. Too often, we carry the burden of shame like a second skin, convincing ourselves that what we did is who we are. But that is not the truth. The truth is that every soul has faltered, every heart has broken, every mind has wandered into places it wished it hadn't, and still, the human spirit holds the power to grow. Still, the soul breathes hope. There is a quiet courage in rising, in lifting your head after being bowed by regret, in choosing to forgive yourself for things you did not yet know, for choices you made in confusion or fear. You are not the sum of your failures. You are the story that came after them. You are the morning that came after the longest night. You are the healing that followed the hurt. And it is in this rising, again and again, that you reclaim what was always yours, your worth, your dignity, your place in the world. There will be voices that try to remind you of who you used to be. There may even be moments when your own mind whispers those old stories to you, but you have the power to rewrite the narrative. You have the strength to say, yes, I made mistakes, but I am not lost in them. I have learned, I have changed, I have grown. And in that growth, I have found something more powerful than perfection. I have found truth. I have found resilience. I have found the unshakable knowing that I am still enough. Mistakes are not the opposite of self-worth. They are the soil from which strength can grow. They are the shadows that make your light more visible. And when you rise above them, not by pretending they never happened, but by owning them and stepping forward with wisdom, you are doing something sacred. You are showing the world and yourself that your spirit is not fragile, that your heart, even when cracked, still beats with purpose. So hold your head high, even if the past still lingers in your memory. Let it remind you not of what went wrong, but of how far you have come. Reclaim your self-worth, not as someone untouched by failure, but as someone untouched by defeat. That is your power. That is your truth. That is your becoming. Your value is not measured by how others treat you, but by how you see yourself. People will look at you through the lens of their own fears, their own insecurities, their own expectations. They will praise you one day and forget your name the next. They may see you through their limited vision, never recognizing the vastness of your soul, but the weight of their gaze should never become the measure of your worth. Because what they see or fail to see is not your truth. It is only their reflection. There is something quiet and powerful about learning to see yourself clearly, not through the filters of judgment or comparison, but through the soft light of honesty and compassion. When you begin to look inward and recognize your own goodness, your resilience, your intention to love and grow, you begin to touch something that no one else can give or take away. You begin to stand on the ground that does not shake when people walk away, when voices grow silent, or when admiration fades. So many people spend their lives chasing validation like a shadow, always running, never catching. They change their words, their clothes, their dreams, just to fit into someone else's version of enough. But even when they are finally accepted, they still feel empty because the one voice that truly matters, their own, was never heard. You must understand that self-worth does not come from being chosen, approved, or applauded. It blooms in the quiet moments when you look at yourself and feel at peace, when you know you are enough without needing to be anything more. People will not always know how to love you. Some will misunderstand your silence, your strength, your softness. Some will see your light and turn away because it reminds them of their own darkness. That is not your burden to carry. You were not made to fit into broken frames. You were made to build your own. And in that frame, your reflection must speak kindness. Your heart must feel safe. Your worth must not be up for negotiation. Every time you choose to honor yourself, you take back what was never theirs to define. Every time you speak up, walk away, stay true, or simply rest without guilt, you reclaim a piece of your wholeness. And in doing so, you teach the world how to treat you by showing them how you treat yourself. Let your self-worth come from within. Let it live in your breath, your choices, your silence, your joy. Because the most powerful thing you can do in a world that tries to tell you who you are is to look in the mirror, see your own eyes, and say, "This is enough. I am enough." Silence the inner critic and awaken the voice that believes in your greatness. There is a voice inside that knows your strength, that remembers your beauty, that whispers of the power you hold. But far too often, that voice is drowned beneath the noise of doubt. The inner critic speaks loudly. It questions your worth, picks apart your choices, and reminds you of your failures like they are permanent. It can become so familiar that you mistake it for truth, but it is not truth. It is fear dressed as logic. It is past pain dressed as protection. You must learn to recognize that voice and gently tell it to rest. It is not your guide. It is not your friend. It is only the echo of a world that taught you to be small, to doubt yourself, to second-guess your worth. And when that voice grows louder, you must reach even deeper and find the quiet strength that waits for you. The voice that says you have already come so far, that you have survived, healed, grown, even when no one saw you, that you are worthy, not because you are perfect, but because you are real. We live in a world that often rewards self-doubt, calling it humility. But there is nothing noble in tearing yourself down. There is nothing wise in silencing your own truth just to be accepted. Real humility is rooted in strength. It does not whisper lies to your soul. It does not hide your gifts. It does not dim your light to make others comfortable. You are allowed to believe in yourself. You are allowed to know you matter. You are allowed to trust your journey even when others cannot see your path. Awakening the voice that believes in your greatness does not mean shouting over others. It means standing in quiet confidence. It means waking up each morning and choosing not to apologize for who you are. It means honoring your growth, even when it is messy, and celebrating your progress, even when it is slow. You must be your own encourager, your own reminder, your own affirmation, because waiting for someone else to speak life into you can leave you empty for years. Reclaiming your self-worth is not a single act. It is a daily return to your truth. It is catching that harsh thought before it grows and choosing a gentler one. It is letting go of shame and holding on to hope. It is saying to yourself, I am not what they said I was. I am not what I feared I was. I am something more, something enduring, something worthy. And in that moment, when you choose to believe in your greatness, you begin to rise. You begin to return. You begin to reclaim. Reclaiming your worth begins the moment you stop apologizing for your existence. There is a heaviness that builds inside when you constantly feel the need to say sorry for simply being who you are. Sorry for speaking too loudly. Sorry for feeling too deeply. Sorry for dreaming too boldly. Sorry for taking up space. Over time, those apologies become chains, binding you to a smaller version of yourself. But your presence on this earth is not a mistake. You were not made to shrink. You were made to stand, to speak, to live without shrinking beneath the weight of someone else's comfort. There is something liberating about no longer seeking permission to be whole, to exist fully, to take up the room your soul was meant to fill. You do not owe anyone an apology for being sensitive, for needing rest, for having boundaries, or for choosing your peace. Your softness is not a weakness. Your voice is not a burden. Your identity, your journey, your healing, none of it requires permission or explanation. When you stop apologizing for who you are, you begin to discover the strength that was waiting quietly beneath the surface all along. You begin to realize that self-worth is not something someone hands to you. It is something you uncover by peeling back every apology you were never meant to carry. Every moment you belittled your joy, dimmed your light, or silenced your truth just to be accepted. But acceptance gained at the cost of authenticity is not love, it is performance. And your spirit was never meant to perform, it was made to live. Let the world adjust to your light instead of you adjusting to its shadows. Let them witness your becoming without watering it down. You are allowed to walk into every room as your whole self, not an edited version. The world will always have something to say, but their opinions are not the compass for your worth. You do not have to play small to be loved. You do not have to apologize for the power in your voice or the softness in your heart. The moment you stop apologizing is the moment you start reclaiming. You return to the center of who you are. You stand taller, breathe deeper, and speak clearer. You begin to hear the voice within that says, I am allowed to be here. I am allowed to feel, to dream, to rest, to rise. And in that space of self-acceptance, you find a kind of freedom no one can take, a peace that no one can shake, a truth that you never had to earn, only remember. Self-worth is not earned through perfection, but embraced through self-acceptance. For too long, we have been taught to believe that we must earn the right to love ourselves, that we must check every box, fix every flaw, carry every burden without complaint, and only then will we be worthy. But that is a lie carved deep into too many hearts. Perfection is a mirage. No matter how close you get, it keeps moving, always just out of reach. And chasing it will exhaust your soul, not because you are not enough, but because you were never meant to prove your worth in the first place. There is beauty in embracing the imperfect parts of yourself, the parts that are still learning, the parts that have stumbled, the parts that feel too much or not enough. They are not marks of failure, they are signs of your humanity. And when you begin to accept yourself as you are, not in spite of those parts, but including them, something powerful begins to shift. You stop waiting for the world to give you permission to be whole. You stop postponing your peace until you feel flawless. You begin to live as though you are already enough, because you are. The world will always try to sell you something to fill the emptiness that self-rejection creates. More achievements, more approval, more beauty, more noise. But what you truly need is not outside of you. It is the quiet knowing that you are allowed to rest in who you are even as you grow, that you can hold grace for your past, compassion for your present, and hope for your future all at once. True self-worth does not bloom in perfection. It blooms in honesty, in being real with yourself and saying, yes, I am still healing. Yes, I still have fears, but I am still worthy of love, still worthy of joy, still worthy of belonging. When you stop measuring yourself against impossible standards, you create space to be gentle, to be soft, to be kind with the parts of you that need care the most. Perfection teaches you to perform. Self-acceptance teaches you to breathe. And in that breath, you come home to yourself. You stop performing for love and start receiving it. You stop punishing yourself and start nurturing the person you are becoming. You understand that your worth is not in what you do, but in who you are. And who you are is already whole. So let go of the chase, let go of the harshness, let go of the story that says you have to be flawless to be enough. You are not here to be perfect. You are here to be real, and real is always worthy. You were never broken, only buried beneath the noise of doubt and fear. Somewhere along the way, life may have convinced you that you were damaged, that you were less than, that something inside you had shattered beyond repair. But the truth is, the essence of who you are, that quiet, steady center, was never destroyed. It only became quiet. Because it only grew tired under the weight of unkind words, unmet expectations, and the constant pressure to be something more, something else, something other than yourself. You are not broken, you are whole. Even if you feel cracked open, even if your heart has been bruised, even if you've lost your way more than once, wholeness is not about being untouched. It's about still standing, still loving, still hoping. Even when the winds have tried to bend you out of shape, there is strength in your softness, in your survival, in your breath. There is power in the fact that you are still here, still trying, still rising, even when no one applauds it. Fear and doubt can grow loud, especially when you've been told, directly or silently, that your worth depends on how perfectly you perform, how easily you please, how much you can carry without complaint. But beneath that noise, there has always been something greater. The voice of your spirit that never stopped believing in you, the part of you that kept moving even when you were afraid, the part of you that whispered, "Try again," when the world said, "Give up." When you began to peel back the layers that were never truly yours, the guilt, the shame, the comparisons, you begin to see yourself clearly again, not as someone broken, but as someone brave, not as someone unworthy, but as someone rising. There is a quiet beauty in that realization, a grace that returns to your eyes. A calm that settles in your chest, because you start to understand that reclaiming your self-worth is not about becoming something new, but about remembering who you have always been. You are not here to prove you are fixable. You are here to know you were always whole. You were simply hidden under the dust of other people's projections, buried beneath years of self-doubt, forgotten for a moment in the rush to be everything for everyone. But now you return to yourself, and in that return you find peace, you find clarity, you find the truth that was never lost, only waiting for you to look inward past the noise and see your reflection as it truly is. Reclaim yourself not as someone broken trying to be healed, but as someone powerful remembering their truth. You were never broken, you were always becoming. And so as you stand at the edge of your own becoming, remember this. Your self-worth was never lost, only waiting for you to return. You do not need to earn it through perfection or prove it through performance. It lives in you, in your breath, in your being, in every quiet moment you choose to believe in yourself again. Let the world say what it will, let the past echo if it must, but let your truth speak louder. You are worthy not someday, not after you change, but now, just as you are. Rise without apology. Love yourself without condition. Walk forward with the courage to be seen, to be heard, and most importantly, to be yourself fully, freely, and without shame. This is your time to reclaim what was always yours. Good luck on your journey, and thank you for allowing these words to walk beside you.